set?
We're live. Probably.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome everyone to Tanner Montgomery Planning Board meeting for December 9th, 2019. There are agendas on the front table. Anybody like to follow along this evening? First, as we normally do, we have some time set aside for a comment session for items not on tonight's agenda. Is there anything? Hi, Barbara.
Hi. Not really a packed house tonight.
No.
Well, good evening and thank you. And I know this is one of the last meetings of the year. Now that the approval for Blue Water has been moved forward and it effectively eliminates any potential for meaningful and diverse development along the 747 corridor between Stewart Airport and Montgomery, I have a couple of questions that I hope that you would consider, and I hope you have answers. Do you know how many projects you have in front of you, roughly?
Dozen?
35.
Okay.
Do you know how many of those are warehouses?
20?
Exactly, 20. And how many of those are over 50,000 square feet?
I think almost all of them. 12?
13.
Yeah.
You know how many square feet total these warehouses comprise? Over 4.5 million square feet.
Wow, that's what the two big warehouses.
That's right. Truck bays? Any guess?
700 or so.
920.
Okay.
And parking spaces?
A couple thousand, gotta be.
Almost 3,500. I mean, the impact is enormous. Now, what I did notice is that there is a disproportionate number of spaces to the number of employees that these people project. Is that due to delivery vehicles? For example, Sailfish is going to have roughly 800 employees, but they have over 1,000 spaces. Now that 800 is over 3 shifts. So based on when we had 3 shifts running, figure 400 in the morning shift, 300 in the afternoon to early evening shift, and then 100 for overnight. So why are there 1,000, over 1,000 parking spaces? And does that account for the delivery vehicles, which they will have, that in the traffic impact statement wasn't identified as a separate line item? Just using a really rough number of about 2/3 the number of spaces per trucks and cars, that gives us 1,200 tractor trailers a day and about 4,600 cars and delivery vans a day. And even if you only had 1 vehicle per bay and 1 vehicle per space for the entire day, that's still over 900 tractor trailers and 3,400 cars a day for these projects. Do you keep a spreadsheet that lists this cumulative impact for these projects so that you really can honestly say that you consider the cumulative impact every one of these projects will have on our town? I think it might be a good idea if you started creating one and just added each time a project comes through, add that number so that you can see at a glance what the overall cumulative impact these projects have. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll continue with Bracken Road Properties, a public hearing on Bracken Road Properties LLC, Bracken 20 warehouses, SEU permit site plan and 2-lot subdivision.
No interaction.
The applicant is Dave Young from Chasing Hawaii. Dave?
Good.
Good. If you could fill us in?
Well, there isn't a whole lot that's changed since I've been here last. Still waiting on the landscaping and the fire department, and we brought additional sets of plans to Bill for tonight for the lighting. And, those are the three things that are outstanding. We do have a comment letter, but I was hoping to put the landscaping and lighting all together in one response so that, we're not doing multiple responses here.
Okay. Okay,
And we actually have, I put together an aerial just so it was easier to see where the project is as compared to the other facilities in the area. And then, it was similar to what you had requested for the other project that we're working on. So this is the type of thing we'll have for that also, but I thought I'd put that together for tonight also, so that you can see it a little better. The 3 additional mailings that we were asked to do, we delivered those receipts tonight.
okay,
So, we should be all set there too.
okay. All right, thank you. As this is a continuation of public hearing, is there anyone in the audience has a question or comment on Bracken 20? Okay, board, any comments or questions? Yes, John?
I think we did resolve the left only, or?
Yes,
going
yep,
up?
that'll be on the response that we were talking about.
Okay.
We combined the 2 drives, if you flip to the other.
Sure.
Do you have that? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you did now.
yep, we combined the 2 drives there, as you can see. On the lot 1B, we took out the entrance from the pedestrian parking lot, put it over into the truck. And, you know, we kicked that around internally a little bit, but, there's not very many truck bays in the back, so there isn't gonna be that much of a conflict, especially when you consider cars out front will probably come in and stay most of the day, maybe go out for lunch, but, you know, there won't be a whole lot of conflict there. So that's what it currently looks like, and we've adjusted the lighting, to the plans that we delivered to Bill tonight, to accommodate that, change in the plans. But everything else is as it was before.
So west only with truck traffic?
Yes,
Okay.
yep,
Thank you.
yep.
Okay.
That'll be at that drive as well as over at the, intersection of.
The westernmost, right, okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Both drives.
Just,
Yes, Rich?
I'm just looking through my file, I see that you got permission for a request for sewer services been approved by the town.
Yes,
Have you heard back about the fire suppression system yet?
well, he told us that he did have capacity for that,
Right.
and that was in the same letter that the sewer was in.
Just,
And I think we had discussed the pond, the capacity of the pond, and of course it's fed by a well.
Yes.
Andrew, were there any outstanding engineering comments?
Well,
We have the same comment letter outstanding for, because he was waiting for other comments.
Okay, then you'll address them all at once.
correct,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay,
We have the, county planning as well as the, town CAC,
okay,
and then the planning and the engineering. All are combined into one letter, but I'm just waiting for the lighting and the landscaping.
Karen has a plan, right? Okay, so then notify her and Karen.
She's had it.
She's had it since the last meeting, I think before. Yeah,
Fred, I have to get the lighting, I have to check the lighting.
okay, so you're gonna check the lighting and Karen on the landscaping.
The fire department?
The fire department, still,
No, nothing. We haven't heard from them. I did actually physically go down and try to, but no luck.
Can we, maybe nudge them a little, it's
Yeah.
routine for us to get the local fire district.
Oh, sure. Is it
Right.
something we send a letter?
well,
We don't normally, but maybe we need to.
Well, I mean, I've sent them twice, you know, and like I said, I physically delivered it one time.
I'll have to reach out to Chief Hunt.
Okay, appreciate it.
Is this,
He'll be Montgomery.
this is my friend.
Yeah, Bob Reynolds' son requested.
Okay. Could you send me that, his contact information so I'm not running around?
You went to
Yeah,
Montgomery.
we usually.
Yes, well, I went to both, but I went for each job.
Yes,
Just have a real quick question. Is there an end user?
Not
That's been
for this
identified?
project at this time, no.
I'm more curious as to what, warehouse is so general, what type of use do you anticipate the occupant having?
The only thing that we've eliminated is any kind of hazardous waste storage or cold storage. We're not anticipating any cold storage at this location.
Cold storage, you mean refrigerated or cold?
Refrigerated.
Okay.
Right.
So it could really be anything?
Correct. As of this time, but, you know, if there's any change to the plans, similar to what we're doing right now for Neelytown Road, if we get a tenant in and they need to change the plan in some shape or form, we'll just have to come back here and get a site plan amendment.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Dave, just to follow up on that, but no manufacturing is proposed.
That's correct, no manufacturing, right.
so, fire chief and landscaping. All right, we'll need to hear from the fire chief before we can, I think,
Yeah,
in case he may want something extra special.
Should we memo
Access?
them directly,
Yeah.
just to move it along?
Well, I was hoping to close the public hearing tonight, but you're saying it needs to stay open for them, even though we've been in contact with them for.
What does everybody think? They've been
Keep it open till, yeah, till you have all the.
quite particular in their reaction to these plans, to make sure that they have adequate access around. I would hate to miss the opportunity if the plan had to be amended somewhat.
Well, that's, I mean, we are waiting on the lighting and landscaping. We'll also adjust it if anything comes up from, any comments from the fire department. What we've shown on there, you'll see the circles on here. That's pretty standard for a turnaround for an emergency vehicle. And we've shown those circles on both facilities, or both sites. We actually added a little extra pavement down here because we weren't quite getting it with what we had there, just with the parking. Whereas over here, it's tight, but it actually is fitting in there.
The main thing we've seen, and this, I think mostly comes from the Coldenham Fire Chief. I'm familiar with the Montgomery Fire Chief's work. But they typically want access from all sides, you know, in case, you know, the larger building, so that, you know, they can drive along the building and spray down into it or whatever.
Right.
So that's the only thing that I might see that might affect it. We've had 915 where they required, fire department required access from more sides of the building.
Even the little warehouse up on Ridge Road, we wanted a way to get into the back of the building. Not that it was a big issue, but we only opened this a month ago, of the 12th of November. And I'd like to safely say that we can have the answers for you by, and the answers on these questions by our next meeting, which is the first one in January 13th.
I'd feel more comfortable with that.
I would too, because then I think we'll be a lot closer to where we want to be, and we'll have these important questions answered.
Fred, I had one other question. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
John.
Dave, you mentioned no hazardous material, right?
Right.
Still.
And that's one of the questions, or that's one of the statements Sandy asked us to put on the plans.
Okay, great.
It's on the site plan drawing.
And no refrigeration.
Well, that's, I haven't put a note that says that on there, but that's what the developer's been telling us all
Okay.
along.
So how about we do this? We'll be here on the other project anyway at 7:30 on the 13th. We can pick this up. Hopefully we'll have these questions resolved. We can do it at 7:40 on the 13th. Everybody in agreement there?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to continue this hearing on January 13th of 2020 at 7:40. A motion by Bill, seconded by Jay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. Just one question. if we do get answers from the fire department and lighting, landscaping, we won't be able to act at that meeting, right?
Let's see what they have to say.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, I'm just, if there are no major comments,
correct.
we'll still have to have the plans reviewed, even though we get comments at that meeting. We'll have to address those comments and give it back
Well,
in.
we can look at moving forward a little bit as long as the comments aren't that
Okay.
substantive.
Okay,
Okay?
all right,
All right, thank you.
thanks.
Happy holidays.
Hey, you too.
All right, next this evening, we have Autumn Sky Development Company LLC, North Drury Lane. SCU permit, site plan and two-lot subdivision, continuation of the public hearing.
I don't bite. He's looking at me like I'm gonna bite him.
Thank you.
Got the latest one, Mike? I got it today in the email.
I can't really see the revision dates, but yeah, that's the existing conditions plan, so you're gonna wanna
Okay, that'll be good.
go to, not the subdivision plan, probably the site plan would be better.
Okay, so I got subdivision plan there and site. So,
That should work.
Okay. All right, Mike,
Good, how are you guys today?
good. If you could fill us in on where we stand?
Yeah, so we received a comment letter from Andrew's office. There were just a few minor outstanding items. We, I believe, addressed those. I don't know if Andrew's had a chance to review them yet. And then we did also receive a comment letter from Darling's office and essentially for Leslie. And we took a look at those. It's just some minor housekeeping items. I think
Okay.
it's changing some notes. Got to reverse my, I guess when you're copying arrows from one roadway to another, I have them that we're traveling in Europe apparently, as opposed to the United States of America. So I just gotta reverse those. There's just a couple of minor little items like that that
Okay.
are on the plans. In particular, when I look at Leslie's comment, or comments, I should say, we can certainly show the sewage disposal system and well that was originally, I guess, designed for the Project 9 Realty. Yeah, we can show those locations on the map, and we can certainly show the culverts inside the actual easements on the maps. There was like little minor comments like that. There was nothing that I saw that was any showstoppers.
Okay.
For a better way of describing it. I guess one of the things that probably should be discussed a little bit was the drainage itself, because we are proposing to kind of relocate the drainage. Whether or not that needs to be addressed, I guess, prior to subdivision being filed, or whether it be bonded. And what I mean by that is, I'm gonna step up to the board and show you better. So there's an existing drainage easement right here that crosses Drury Lane and discharges into this wetland. In order to avoid it being located too close to any of the buildings and affected during construction, what I've done is relocated it, moving to the north down Drury, and then across the parking lot area over here, such that if there's any maintenance associated with it, it would be easier to take care of.
Okay.
So we would extinguish this easement here and relocate it in favor of that easement there. There's a couple of catch basins that have been added, piping that's been added. So it's essentially discharging to the same wetland or design point, so to speak, but it's just being relocated.
Different location.
Yes, that's really what it comes down to.
In favor of the town?
In favor of the town, yes. Yes, correct. It's not a tremendous amount of work, but I do believe it's necessary work.
Okay, this is a continuation of a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment or has a question on Autumn Sky Development, North Drury Lane? Okay, board, yes, John?
Mike, is that cable easement still part of this project?
I'm sorry, can you repeat?
The AT&T cable easement, is that not part of this project?
Well, no, it's gonna remain where it is.
Mhm.
We've done everything we can to, and any permanent structures are obviously not located within that easement.
Okay.
We have contacted AT&T in the past. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Wachowski said we could potentially work to extinguish that easement if we want. I don't know if it's actually in use anymore.
Right.
But everything we've got designed here would not impact that AT&T easement.
Okay. Rich, would we need a letter from AT&T or something?
We're not impacting it. We're not touching it.
All good intentions, yeah, right?
I can tell you this, I did send them an email
Okay.
following up not too long ago. Did not hear back from anybody. I can certainly make that email,
It's the same, I think it's the same easement that goes across Sailfish.
It is.
I had previously contacted AT&T on one of the projects that we're working on. It was a dam. They put the cable across the dam, and then we had to get somebody out there just to identify it and locate it. But it took a bit of doing. It's a big machine, AT&T, to get somebody who's actually going to be knowledgeable and able to talk to you about it. They're paving over it. It's their risk. If AT&T has to get to it, they'll remove the
Just remove it.
pavement. So it's really their risk,
Okay.
you know? It would be all at their cost.
It's not under a building, I don't think.
No, it's
No,
not
it's
under a building.
Okay.
Is there anything affixed to the title to describe that easement that gives a restriction on what you can do?
I just don't believe you can have a permanent structure over it. I don't recall seeing anything else.
Okay.
I've seen that easement, I think for the.
It was part of Dunkin' Donuts, I think it crosses over that also,
Yeah.
and I know we contacted them during that whole procedure, and it
It
never
was
went.
futile.
Yeah, it was futile.
Futile.
Okay.
Okay. All right, anyone else?
Yeah.
Discuss about sealing the old well by the barn.
Yeah, I believe I have some notes on one of the plan sheets to discuss that. I have to go back and take a
I
quick
know I
look.
read about it, I don't remember what.
Yeah, I think I know that it's supposed to be abandoned in accordance with AWWA C-100 or something like that.
The question is when and under what auspices, because that was one of the questions I had asked about the subdivision. And that's the nice thing about really ordering the subdivision part and trying to the subdivision is separate from the site plans and SDUs, because it raises a whole bunch of additional questions about what gets done and
Sure.
when, and you can just see it differently.
Sure. And we can place a note on either of the plans that suggest that, you know, as a part of, or prior to the CO, that well needs to be abandoned, something along those lines, or?
Yeah, it's a concern to me just because the building is right up on top of Drury Lane. The pump house.
Yeah, it's
Right.
10 feet off the road.
Right, so then we'll have to have it decommissioned prior to commencement of construction.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to the board, but it's a question that needs to be answered.
It's within the dedication to the town, isn't it?
There's no dedication to the town, is there?
No.
It's not in the land that's gonna be dedicated, but it's butt up against the road.
Yeah, no.
So it's a concern just because physically, the structure itself, I think, is a hazard, so.
Well, they had extension cords going to.
Yeah, I was trying not to address that, but since you opened the door and walked through, yeah, there's that too.
Is it a drilled well,
Here's true, yeah.
I couldn't tell you, I haven't been inside, I don't recall.
or is it a dug well? A hand dug well?
Drilled, it's not that big.
I have to take a look at it,
Well,
I don't recall.
In an old, 50 years ago, I'd have known. So they used to spend a lot of time over there. What they used to do in the older farms is they used to have a place for the milk, and they put it in a tub of water, and it'd be in an old well house. They were all over. That could have been a concrete foundation with a wooden structure over it, and those big milk cans, the metal milk cans, they would go in there to keep it cool.
Spring fed, right?
Spring fed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it'd be groundwater, it could be 5, 6 foot deep, and it'd dip them in there.
It's only like a 4 by 4 foot building, as far as I recall.
Yeah, that, it's hard to tell, without a scale, it's a 20 scale, yeah, it's 4, 5, 6 feet.
Is there concrete around it, Mike?
Is it
I
on
do
the foundation?
recall that, yeah.
So-
It very well may be a shallow dug well.
It could be a shallow dug well. Yeah. Well, anyway, that'll, a note to decommission that.
I think so, prior to
Yeah.
commencement of construction.
Yeah, that would be safe.
Yep.
Anyone else on, Autumn Sky? Yes, Brian?
Crossing the wetlands, with the main driveway coming back to the warehouse with 3 12-inch pipes.
Correct, yeah.
12-inch pipes are really small to begin with, and they're notorious for plugging up with any sticks or branches or anything. Is there any way you could use like a larger arch pipe and bury part of it, something like that?
I've done this before on other projects. I've never had an issue with it that I know of. I mean, I would suggest if 12 inches is an issue, maybe considering going to 15 inches.
I think you had clearance issues or something like that.
Yeah, it might require a little bit more grading. But I mean, the 3 12 inches will definitely pass quite a bit of water. It'll definitely allow for water to flow back and forth.
I've just seen it where you get a couple sticks and leaves and stuff come down in the fall, and they plug up the entrance, and then all of a sudden it's backing up.
We've got flared in sections shown now, but I could, put some kind of a grate or something on top of it, if that would make more sense.
I think that might obstruct it even more, but, just take a look at it. If there's anything, if you can get a 42-inch arch pipe or 36 or something. Maybe Andrew might have some other ideas.
I don't disagree with you, squash pipe, arch pipe,
You can bury
elliptical
it.
pipe. Yeah.
The elliptical would probably be a better choice here.
Right.
I'll see what size I can get into that'll allow for my clearance.
Yeah, and like I said, you could even probably bury part of it.
Yeah.
That's what DEC usually wants to see.
Yeah, to make a natural bed.
Right.
Yeah.
There were clearance issues originally with there was a 36 originally proposed, and
I couldn't get it.
There was no height,
Yeah.
there was no height, so.
So I'll try to see what I can look at. It's an elliptical, it's bigger than a 12 and gives me the proper clearance that I need. That's the issue we're having is clearance on that.
Yeah, that's what it looked like, but I think it just made a better maintenance issue going forward.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. Hey, Bill, you have a question?
Yeah, I got a question. Mike, I talked to WLS today on that, and gonna move the light out near the curb cut. I'm gonna move it to the other side of the road, and shooting for 1 foot candle on the job. So I just want you to know I'm in touch. He's gonna be correcting the plan. No big deal.
Understood.
Nothing to do with thing with the layout or anything. It's just
Moving to the other side.
just minor stuff.
Okay, fair enough. And I did contact WLS, and that's the latest plan so far, outside of the changes you just suggested. It's reflected.
Yeah, well, I got one here, but
I'll be getting it soon. Gotcha.
Just on the notices, after our last meeting, I took a look, because Steve got me more stuff. And then I worked with Steve when we got another notice out for tonight's meeting to pick up anyone he hadn't gotten. So I'll be doing a final review, but I think we're in good shape. The problem is the town of Newburgh gave them a 500-foot radius. So the applicant had to extrapolate who was not within, who on that list was greater than 300, because they didn't need notice. And I think there were a lot.
I want a Google Maps, I went to 350 to be safe.
There were
And
like
anybody between
90
350
notices between the two towns.
Yeah, anybody between 350 and 500 I do, but I get a
Montgomery
50-foot
didn't
extra
have many,
safety.
but Newburgh crossed the line into Fleetwood and off you go. Yeah, so, I've got it all now, I can piece it together, and I think we'll be in good shape.
Anyone else? Okay, so we got your most recent submission today, and we'll be looking at that. I guess we'll have you in on the 13th also?
Okay, Were there any more comments, I believe, from the fire department? I thought there was, am I mistaken?
Road was getting something, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, they did. I had an email from Matt Hunt that says everything was fine. I don't know if there was anything after that, but I do have an email from him that says everything was fine.
Could you forward that over
I
to
sure
Steve,
can,
please?
yeah.
And we're waiting on Karen on this one.
Okay, call so Karen.
Elevations.
When this comment about, egress or another entrance or something on some of the sides of the building?
That was Andrew, and they revised the elevation to provide stairs.
Yeah, that's just, there was, you just had to coordinate the entrance location from the architect with the site plan. I gave him the site plan, he drew the entrance in the wrong spot, I didn't have time to have it fixed, it's what gets submitted. So we've tried to revise that to make sure that they're coordinated properly.
Okay, great, so, we'll get on to Karen, we'll get her.
A motion for?
Yeah, we need a motion to continue this hearing, if everybody's okay with it. The 13th of January 2020 at 7:50. Makes sense, motion by John, seconded by Ryan, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried.
Yes. We have this letter from Todd Drake, Highway Superintendent.
Yeah, he's no longer.
I know, I wanted to do certain things.
Yeah, we responded to that, right?
I gave the latest plan to Shane.
Okay, thank you. So 7:50. Okay, next this evening is Autumn Sky Development Company, Inc., New York State Route 208, SCU permit and site plan, discuss the lot layout. Okay. Did you want to fill us in on this one?
Yeah, sure.
Roy?
I think on that one, Mike, I think you would said, no writing until you finalize.
Yeah, that's what if we can finalize this concept layout tonight, then I can start preparing the rest of the design drawings for this project.
Great.
So, what you've got here now is this has been tweaked quite a bit. This is actually easier. Hope nobody minds if I'm taking the microphone out of the stand. So what we've done here is we've relocated the warehouse so that it's closer to New York State Route 208. We've put all the truck loading in the rear of the property so that it's screened from the residential neighborhood across the street. We've got parking allocated in the front. We have a stormwater basin that is now shown along the frontage of 208 in the building. And we have sewage disposal system back here. By the way, I got a comment from Andrew's office regarding Elgin's being located underneath pavement, but actually this is a Presby system. Presby systems do have a design methodology that you can actually put them underneath parking lots. And I'll prepare that plan probably in the next submittal. We did have the soil testing associated with the septic system witnessed by Andrew's office. We've put together a preliminary grading plan. It shows a stormwater pond. We've started some calculations on that. It looks like that'll probably adequately handle any stormwater runoff from the project. We feel that this design layout makes sense from the way the site's configured. I mean, we are constrained by a wetland on the west-hand side. It does a good job, again, of storing any tractor trailers and any other loading issues behind the building. There was one major issue that was brought up, I think in one of Leslie's comment letters, as it relates to a 300-foot setback for truck loading, running, parking areas. I don't believe that what we're proposing here would qualify as a loading, running, or parking area. But having said that, we did show what a 300-foot offset would be from the New York State Route 208 side, which falls just behind the proposed building location right now. So it does a pretty good job of trying to meet the intent of the 300-foot setback, but there's also this residential zone behind us over here. The issue with the residential zone going on behind over here is that we got railroad tracks over here and a bunch of wetlands in the back. So I don't know that a 300-foot setback from this property, not that it's not warranted, but it just may not be practical.
Well, you had said that you were going to restrict that trucks not be parked in the back there, and I wondered how feasible that was. Because it seems to me that if it came down to it, that it might be better either to seek an interpretation or variance in this, because this is a classic case where between the wetland and railroad, that there really isn't the same level of need.
Correct.
That just because it's a residential district doesn't mean that the actual features that are there would be a concern. So it troubled me a little bit, the idea of seeing a site that was for a warehouse that seemed to provide area in the back where you could park a truck would be so restricted. The board hasn't discussed it, but you know, that's an approach.
And that's why we're here tonight, is to get an idea of what the board's interpretation or thought is on this. I mean, to summarize again, I mean, I am maintaining pretty much a 300-foot setback from the 208 side, but we'll never be able to maintain a 300-foot setback from the railroad track side. But again, the railroad track side has railroad tracks and wetlands, and I don't know that there'll ever be any real residential development there, so I don't know how practical it is to have to apply it. I don't know if it's within the purview of the board to be able to weigh in on that.
Well, I think the zoning's pretty clear. It's truck parking,
Running and
is loading in it also.
It's in her letter.
I forgot to file. If anybody else does.
I have it.
Sure. Storage, parking, or running.
Parking or running, so if you're gonna park the truck there, because again, the wall requires that you show trucks, you would need to store. So it looked to me, honestly, and maybe this is just what it looked like to me, but it looked as if there was space to store a truck in behind there.
Take a look at the turning diagram, I can't.
Yeah.
If I try to store or park a truck back there, I can't get another truck in.
Okay.
So I don't believe by default in that aspect that I can actually consider it storing a truck.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, I need that whole
Oh,
area back
yeah,
there.
it's
Just like a truck, and it's
Oh, when
also
you get back.
semi-K-turn to get in and out.
yeah. Yeah, I was glad you showed that, but, yeah, okay.
Does everybody understand that?
Mike, if you were to consider the rail, how would you come in here off the line? What would be your approach? Okay.
It's really happened.
I thought the owner was talking to the railroad.
Steve, what's up? There's a question for you regarding if you're looking at any loading to the warehouse from the railroad tracks themselves.
Putting a spur on the railroad track?
You were thinking of a spur?
No, there is, we show no spur.
Well, you got one right there.
Well, we'd have to build a spur. There's no spur there, we'd have to build a spur onto the property.
Okay, was there any interest?
I talked about it, but, it's possible in the future, but as of right now, no.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd have to be, come back before you get to do that.
But you feel it's possible?
Is it technically possible to get a spur? Is that what you're asking?
Can you
You'd have to,
squeeze something in?
you'd have to build a spur, you have to have enough radius to get it on there.
That's what I'm asking.
I spoke to the people.
Radius. I
Huh?
don't think we have enough to really seriously get.
I don't think there's enough room.
Oh, okay.
It's
I don't
too
think
small
we're
a
gonna be able
lot.
to. We need that whole area to truck turning, so I don't know how we work it out.
Yeah, if he put the spur, he wouldn't have room for the building.
Yeah, the radius would be tremendous.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So the layout of the back of this building isn't conducive for storing vehicles. It's only to bring a truck in, unload it. and-
Unload it,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's only one loading dock.
Yeah, that's
So, I mean,
Okay.
I can't have anything there because I'm just gonna block other trucks.
Okay, that's fine.
Everybody feel about the same way?
Yeah, it's a lot for us, little space, right?
Yeah.
But Mike, any plan on what the future is for this site, or, you know, what storage, what you're going to run there?
Not sure,
Nothing at all? No idea?
not sure. I mean, try to find a tenant for that.
Yeah.
Like,
So call, what was the?
Have to ask the
septic
question.
system?
probably a contractor, like, you know, a sheet metal contractor would, you know, store his stuff there.
Okay.
They're pretty cool. They work very similar to Elgin's. They have the same loading per square foot. And they typically are the same exact design from a footprint standpoint. But you can actually, they're basically essentially a 12-inch like HDPE pipe with perforations on it. They have like a geotextile fabric on it. And what's neat is at the bottom, like 2-3 inches or so, actually always maintains water in it. The systems are vented, so that there's always air flowing through them, and believe it or not, they have an NSF 40 rating to them. So they produce clean effluent. They're absolutely very cool.
And they got a much higher loading?
No, I mean, in terms of their design, Department of Health is, I think, Elgin's are at like 6 square foot per lineal foot, or whatever that load rating is. Presby's are exactly the same. So you get like a 30-40% footprint savings on it, but you also get an NSF 40 classification with it, and you can do them so they're H20 load rating.
H20 load rating, okay.
So they you come off a tank, and then you go in and the effluent coming off of those pipes is clear?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, you don't have to need an aerobic tank. And now, they're not necessarily meant for surface discharge, but so what actually overflows out of the pipe and into the ground is in an SF40 rated, so it's got 99.9% clean effluent.
Do they use these for residences too, or?
So Presby's are, yes, for sure. I've actually just done a few septic system replacements with them. So the idea being is that should the system start to kind of fail, that hopefully what kind of surfaces is is at least as clean as it can be. They're very popular, actually, believe it or not, throughout the New Hampshire. They're really, really big in New Hampshire. They're really big in Vermont. They're big out west. They're just starting to kind of catch some ground here. Yeah, that's them. So you got a really small footprint to work with, and you need something H20 load rated. These are great. And I'll tell you the other thing that's neat with Presby's are the company gives you a lifetime warranty on it. So, well, I shouldn't say lifetime. So that's poor choice of words. But so Andrew probably can understand a little bit what I'm talking about. You have to have a specific type of ASTM you'll understand too. CM33 sand that goes underneath these things. It actually helps to provide like the creation of a bioman, the treatment of it. So as long as you have, but the fun thing is everybody thinks they can get ASTM C33 sand around here. You really can't. The lower gradations of it are not really. It's more like a mason sand or a masonry sand. So if you're gonna build one of these things, you have to put the ASTM C33 sand in. If they get that, they'll come out. The system fails. They'll check it, and if that sand's there and the thing's constructed properly, they will replace the whole thing at their cost. And it's part of what they offer as their package.
How deep is this?
The only thing is it has to be a licensed installer through them.
How deep is the sand under the pipe?
6 inches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not much.
Well,
Yeah, it's very cool, they're very
Wow.
cool, so I've been starting to kind of, I've used them now probably about 3-4 jobs.
They're working.
They're working great.
Terrific.
And what's really neat about them too, as opposed to an Elgin, as you can see, an Elgin's got the 4-inch pipe with all that geotextile underneath it. These guys actually give you storage at the same time. So it's a pipe, it's a perforated pipe, so like, let's just say for sake of argument, there's a lot of loading one day, like you have a big party and, you know, you're overloading the system, you can store, this will actually store it at the same time and give it the opportunity to.
To infiltrate.
Yeah, to infiltrate, so.
How large is that black pipe?
I believe it's 12 inches.
12 inches. That's a lot of 20 foot, a lot of.
Yeah, so there's a lot of storage in there. A lot of storage, and it's crazy, so like I said, this thing will always, you know, roughly like the bottom few inches always has that liquid in it. So you have to vent the system through whatever vent stack you have in the building that you are constructing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the air is always, you know, as you flush the toilet, right, water goes down, air comes in behind it, so there's always venting going on in the system, and that's what provides the aerobic treatment process. So you're always putting air in there, you're leaving that little bit of liquid in there, so you've always got the bacteria that are feeding, and it produces.
How does the air get out of the pipe? It comes down the.
There's a high vent, which is from the building or outside, and there's a low vent too.
Oh, okay.
So you have a high vent and a low vent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sold, Mike.
They're very cool. Yeah, they're, I mean,
Yeah,
if you haven't
that's
seen them before, give them a holler. And
That's cool.
they're great on commercial sites where, again, it's not a lot of room like this, and
I think somebody was proposing those up at Lake George, right on the shore where they had nothing else.
so, I mean, you know, these guys will tell you that they've not had one of these fail on them yet. And they've installed these things in soil that's 2-hour, 3-hour perks. I don't know. They'll also, just so you know, Andrew, if you give them a buzz, they'll actually design the system for you.
Okay.
You give them the soil parameters, they'll design it, they get, you know, obviously you have to take it, put it in their CAD format, but they take a look at whatever you do and make sure that it's what you're looking for.
Great.
Okay.
And they just sold out to,
Infiltrator technology.
Infiltrator, yeah, yeah, thank you. They just got bought out, and I think they got bought out by ADS after that, don't quote me.
Okay.
Or Infiltrator's already owned by ADS, one or the other, I don't remember.
Pipe maker.
Okay.
Mike, real quick, first floor, there is no second floor?
No, yeah, that's just a slab on grade, so I can note that if you want. Change
Well,
something.
just when I draw the hearing notes, I had the
Right.
same question.
The other one, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll want to see what it's gonna look like, the building.
Yeah, we'll have to get, Steve, we'll have to get some renderings together for the building.
Yeah, 'cause
Right
this-
out on the highway.
This one's right on the highway, and it's small enough, you could probably do something nice to it that you couldn't do if you had 1,000,000 square feet.
You showed this to Orange County Health?
No, I don't think it'll need to go for their review.
No.
But they are aware of Presby Systems, they approved. I don't know what the last one was they did, but I know, there's a, site, if you're familiar down in Monroe, on 208 near the 17 entrances, right there. It's that new big black building that's down there.
Yeah.
They've got these in the back.
Wow. Okay.
One question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you consider just having one loading bay, bringing up a very marketable building?
It's a 20,000 square foot building. I just did two 20,000 square foot warehouses down in Washingtonville, and you have one bay. That's it.
Okay.
And it's for that size building, and I can tell you this is for chemical storage facility, so he keeps a tremendous amount of stock available. He's already moving things, and one day he's fine.
You haven't had any interest.
Nothing unusual, I don't believe there.
You haven't had any interest.
Oh, an end user?
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about another project I've had in
Okay.
Washington,
All right.
comparable to this.
Okay, so I guess you're all set.
So concept plan's good, I will take this forward and give you guys more detailed plans, right?
Yep.
Thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No charge for the education of the president.
Nice job,
Thanks for training.
Have a good Christmas, bud.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Take care. Pop Blossom 8, Coldenham Road, SU permit site plan, a 6-month extension request. We have the,
What's going on there, Fred?
they're working with the village to extend the existing water service to the barn. Yep. Is that it? Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Good.
Taking a very long time.
Yeah, since,
May.
since May, early May. Okay. Anybody, any questions on the Hot Blossom? Requesting a 6-month extension on their approval.
I was just going to mention that we finally received some decent feedback from them.
Oh.
So we're now working with our engineer to modify the trench drains and some of the wastewater pretreatment that we're gonna be doing. So we're getting closer, it just took a long time to get the feedback to then make modifications to our plans.
You're gonna send sewer to them and get water from them?
Yes, yes. Yeah, water, at least from what I've heard, they don't have an issue. The village has 4 times the capacity that they're using today anyway.
Right.
It's the wastewater that they want us to meet certain parameters that they require for their treatment system, which is fine, but it just took us till late October to get that answer.
Okay.
You got a high-powered lighting job there, so I'm interested in seeing.
Yes, Rich.
Excuse me, just from memory, when you were in front of us, I don't think you had your state license yet. But
Yes.
Have you gotten that?
We cannot apply, you mean the brewer's license,
Yeah.
brewing license? So we can't apply for state or federal licensing until we've built the property and installed all the equipment.
Oh, really?
So we need to go through everything and then only then can
I
we
did
approach
not
them.
know that.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Because your attorney committed to getting us a copy of that license, now I
Yes.
understand why.
Yeah, we'll provide it. It's a very,
Oh, man, arduous.
long process.
Thank you.
Sure. So I'll entertain a motion to grant another 6-month, grant a 6-month extension. That'll take us out to June of 2020. Any comments or questions? Motion by Bill, seconded by Rich. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thanks, Sue. Everybody should have a copy of the planning board meeting dates for 2020. Well, we can have a meeting in 2020, we should adopt the meeting dates. I think that's probably a good idea. Any questions or comments on, we have a few Tuesdays, right?
Did want to flag for the public that the workshop of January would normally be the first Wednesday, but that's New Year's Day, so that will be January 8th, and the notice says that. Otherwise, all the workshops are the first Wednesday of the month.
Okay, so, entertain a motion to accept the minutes, set the meetings for 2020 by Rich, seconded by John. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Sue, will you get that to the paper?
Yes.
Great. You sent it to the record too? I mean,
No.
They don't, the work is published.
Yeah, that's all.
Not published.
Yeah.
Couple other things this evening. We have minutes for November 12th, 2019. We've had for a little bit to review prior to this evening. Anybody have any comments on the minutes from? Just a few
Yeah,
minor
nothing
comments.
substantive, they were very good minutes.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim. Okay, entertain a motion to accept the minutes. November 12th, 2019 by Jay, seconded by Rich. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, before we adjourn tonight, we have a couple of people who, this will be their last meeting, Leslie Dotson and Bill Kelly. So I wanted to just say a few words on their behalf. I can't say enough about Leslie. Her attention to detail, knowledge of the planning process and the town zoning have been exemplary for many years. I know I will, and I think the board is really gonna miss her. So Leslie, thank you very much for your service. Now, Bill Kelly, he was appointed to the ZBA in January of '71, appointed to the Planning Board in June of '72, and he became chairman in January of '73. So he has continually served this town for 49 years, that includes 71 and 19, 49 years. We're all gonna miss Bill. He's been a great help to me since I became chairman. I will miss his advice and guidance. We don't always agree, which I think that's a good thing. I think it gives the board balance, keeps us grounded, keeps me grounded. So thank you, Bill. And we'll keep in touch, I know, and I'm gonna miss you. So good luck with everything, both of you.
Well, it's been great, aside from the fact that you're doing a great job, the rest of the board works hard, and Sue in the office and everybody involved, the consultants. It's been a pleasure. I'm gonna miss working with you people. I am gonna keep my hand in the lighting if I can a while, and maybe a little longer than just a while, but I enjoy it, and I know it helps the board. And the people don't come screaming back at you, it's light all over the property and everything. I gotta try to watch that. So, I'm open to you people now and then, and it'll be my pleasure.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you for your kind words.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
By Ryan, seconded by Bill. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.